Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Bucur. I'm a vice president within MarshBerry's financial advisory practice, focusing on specialty distributors such as MGAs, MGUs, program managers, and wholesale brokers. We bring you this monthly video blog to talk about recent trends or dynamics that are impacting specialty distributors. Today, we are focusing on private equity and why and how they're driving M&A in today's marketplace. As this chart shows, private equity continues to be a main driver of M&A activity. If we look at 2019, private equity completed over 400 transactions of the 650 transactions that were announced. Last year alone, they made up over 2/3 of the overall transaction activity. You compare this back to 2006 when private equity had one transaction, it makes you wonder, why has private equity gotten so intrigued into insurance distribution as of late? Well, specifically, let's look at the interest rate environment. And you couple where we've seen the interest rates trending over time with what the Fed is currently coming out and saying where they want to encourage higher rates of inflation going forward, which translates to future periods of low interest rates. How does that all translate, or why is that relevant to private equity? In fact, I'll be as bold as saying that in this low interest rate environment and the fact that that the Fed has come out and said interest rates will remain low for the foreseeable future, this tells me that private equity will continue to dominate the M&A landscape. Now, how can I be so bold as to make such a prediction? Well, it comes down to the way that private equity operates. Private equity, in most instances, are obtaining a significant amount of debt to fund transactions, and that debt obviously has interest rate attached to it. So the lower the interest rate, the more that private equity is going to be able to fund the servicing of the debt via the cash flows of the operations that they acquire. The other hidden gem in this for private equity is that as they bring on debt, it amplifies their overall returns. As private equity is able to increase returns by leveraging debt, they are then able to obtain their returns that are necessary and pay higher multiples for their acquisitions. This is one factor that is driving valuations in today's marketplace. To put a simplistic example out there, let's think of it this way. You buy a mortgage, or you buy a house for $1 million, you take on a mortgage. That mortgage is 80% of the overall $1 million purchase price. So you put $200,000 of equity, you have debt of $800,000. Over a 1-year period, that house goes up by $200,000 of value from from $1 million to $1.2 million of value. That means you have a 100% return on equity for that 1 year. That's the same concept that private equity is applying in their investments, and that is helping them to not only drive transaction activity, but the overall valuations that we are experiencing as well. And one dirty little secret of private equity is they oftentimes don't pay taxes. The reason is because they're making so many acquisitions, most of them are asset transactions, which can be amortized over a 15-year period. Plus the debt, the interest associated to the debt creates a tax offset. Between the two of these, a lot of the large consolidators in the sector aren't paying taxes, which means they are probably from an income statement perspective, probably a negative from an income statement, very cash rich because of the tax benefit there. Another reason why they're able to drive valuations up in the marketplace. Further, given the experience that private equity has had in obtaining the returns that are necessary, typically private equity likes to have a 3 times return on their invested capital over a 5-year period. Many times in this industry, returns are much better than that. Private equity has gotten wind of this, and that's why we saw 1 transaction in 2006 versus 400 transactions in 2019. As such, you can see that the dry powder, or the capital that private equity has to invest, has gone through the roof over the last several years, telling us the demand will remain for the insurance sector. Thank you for your time this month. We at MarshBerry like to say that we help our clients to learn, improve, and realize value. And we look forward to talking to you again next month. Take care.